I remember when my business Google profile was bringing me a ton of leads. I was a very happy business owner because I didn't have to pay for Facebook ads or run Google ad campaigns. Organically, I was ranking and I was getting a ton of leads, and those leads were becoming events. I was making money with very little cost. And those were the days, okay? But let's fast forward now and just be realistic. Let's talk in the present. In this video today, guys, I'm going to show you exactly the funnel, the customer journey my clients go through when they book with me. So I hope this video helps. I need you to pay close attention. The reason why is because I want you guys to catch the mistakes that I made. So in case you're still making that mistake right now, here's the solution. And if you're barely getting started, do what I'm doing now because it's working and you don't have to go through that rough part, the pains of learning from lack of experience. So let me go ahead and dive into it right now. Let me go ahead and illustrate it with my handy dandy marker right here. Let's go. So back in the day, my Google business profile will provide me with all of the leads I ever dreamed of. Okay, so my Google business profile would send leads to my website. And that was amazing because on my website, I would have my pricing, whether it's 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours. And my website, I had photos, I had videos, I had the proper H1s. The H1 is going to be the header. So for example, if you have photo booth Miami, Florida, or Miami, Florida photo booth rental, and that's your H1, the algorithm picks that up. When it gets crawled, it gets indexed as this page right here on their website is for Miami, Florida photo booth rental. So what happens is if someone goes into the Google search engine and types in Miami, Florida photo booth rental, if you have a lot of content revolving around that keyword, your website is going to rank at the very top. And that was how I was getting a ton of leads, and I was making money without having to spend money on marketing ads. Okay, so make sure that you guys have your website set to the location of where you want to cater to the most. And later on, you can expand and increase the proximity. So within my website, I had killer videos, I had killer photos, I had a description, I had prices. And so then people would browse around and then they would click, for example, on one of the services, let's say 360. It would take them to a calendar. And from the calendar, people were able to book on their own. So they'll pick their date, time, and they would get booked and they will get charged a deposit. And then I wake up in the morning with my phone notifications and I'd be like, yes, I was able to get a booking while I was asleep. Okay, that was amazing. And then what I would do is I would follow up with the client and I would introduce myself and I would tell them the next step and so on and so forth. This right here, this was the good old days right here. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this, and I'm going to erase what you just learned right now because this right here is not as relevant anymore. Things are changing. As you guys already know, Google Business Profile isn't sending you the same amount of leads it did once upon a time, right? So this is what's going on now, and I'm going to show you guys a mistake I made, and so how it cost me money, and so that you guys don't make the same mistake. Okay, I still have a Google Business Profile. My Google Business Profile is competing with a lot of other business Google profiles, okay? And that's okay because that's what just happens in any industry. It gets to a point where it becomes very competitive. So what's happening now is Google's sending some traffic to my website, and then the client will go to the website and they'll see like, wow, this is a good website, so on and so forth. Then my philosophy was, because everybody on the platform was talking about, is like, we need to do data capture. We need to capture these emails so that we can call the client, follow up with them, and try to close them. So then all of a sudden, my business became like a call center where it's like, we need to close these sales. We need to close these sales. But look at what ended up happening. Pay close attention. This is valuable information. So then what I started doing was, I said, you know what? I'm not getting as many inquiries as I used to on my website. And I'm also not getting a lot of funneling in from either my Google or just organic search directly to my website when it's ranking. Reason why is because when more people come into the space and they're competing for those keywords, then Google has to distribute that traffic and allocate it somehow, some way, depending on the quality of your Google Business Profile and depending on the quality of your website. So then I was making money because I had strong SEO on both sides. But because more people came into the space, there was a lot more competition. People started running Google ads. So I told myself, okay, damn, 3 years later, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to start running Google ads. So I got educated and I spent thousands of dollars on Google ads and also getting mentorship and classes and all that great stuff. And then I started running Google ads. So what ended up happening? Okay, Google was sending more traffic now to my website. My mentor told me this, David, when people go to your website and they're browsing around your website, what you should do is you should remove your pricing. And on top of that, you should add a lead contact form. Okay? That way, if they're really interested, they'll go ahead and fill out the lead form. And now you're going to have access to their name, their phone number, and their email. And I thought to myself, that's a brilliant idea. Data capture. I'll be able to capture the customer's information and follow up with them. Here's the things that started going wrong. And this is funny because it used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. What happens is the client comes into your website. They're looking for pricing. They don't see pricing. And then they realize, oh, check availability or contact us or get a quote, an estimate. And they're like, shit, I have to fill out this lead form. So then my lead form had, you got to put in your name, your event date, you got to put your location, right? You got to put your email, you got to put your phone number, you got to put how many people are going to be at the event, what type of event it is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like about 7 fields they had to fill out this lead form. Okay, well, what happened next, David? Well, I'll tell you what would happen next. When they fill out that lead form, I'll get a notification, and then I have a system in place. And I started exploring HoneyBook because, like I said, this mentor of mine said, you should try this concept. And I said, okay, well, if it's working for you, I'll go ahead and try it. So then what happens is when this lead form gets submitted, right, HoneyBook gets the information, and then HoneyBook has an automation where then it sends the client. It sends them a proposal. Within that proposal, the client now has access to the pricing. So then my mentor said, hey, what you have to do now is, now that your client is hot, they actually filled out all this information, they're going to be a hot lead because they went through the keyframe of actually filling out this lead form. So it's a serious inquiry. It's a high quality lead. And in my mind, I thought like, okay, well, that makes some sense, right? So I kept rolling with it. But then I noticed that I was spending a shitload of money running Google ads to run traffic to my website. I'm going to expand on that a little bit more. I spend hundreds of dollars. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I was spending around $54 a day. Okay, that's a little over $1,500 every month. But I thought, you know what? You got to spend money to make money. And I thought, okay, things will work out. Things will work out. So, okay, so what happens is the client then, I said, would get that proposal directly from HoneyBook, and then I'll get notification. And so then what I was doing is I was reaching out to the client. The client wasn't expecting a call from me. The client just wanted to get pricing, okay? So now that the client had my pricing, I called, and I tried to call right away because the lead was hot and the client wouldn't pick up the phone. So then I would say like, what the heck? Well, it's obvious. They don't want to pick up the phone. They don't know who it is. And in my life, throughout my career, I never liked cold calling. But I said, this is for my business and I'm not bothering anyone. I had to convince myself that I wasn't bothering anyone because I was going to call to provide them with value, give them information to help them with their event. So I had to like think into that. I had to have that state of mind, right? But I got ghosted. So then what I would do is I would leave them a voicemail, and then I would send them a text message after I left that voicemail. And I want to say almost 90% of them did not reply. It's crazy, right? So I said, okay, cool. All right, so what am I going to do next? Because this kind of sucks. Like this after this happened like 5 times like in a row, I thought to myself, what am I doing wrong? Because this is now I feel like I'm pushing, like I got to go after the lead. Like this is taking so much work. Plus I'm spending money on the back end on Google ads. So what I ended up doing then, so I went back into HoneyBook and I said, okay, from now on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an automation. So when the client gets sent this proposal, after that, 2 days later, I can have an automation take off, and that automation will go like, hey, Just wondering if you got the email. Sometimes your emails get lost because you get a ton of emails. So then I set up an automation system where the client will get an email from us every single day for 6 days. So every email was basically just touching base with the client so that we can kind of stay on their radar. And I figured, okay, well, if this is going to be an automated system, then this is probably going to increase the conversion rate to where the client actually calls back, returns my phone calls or text messages. I thought that would work out well. Well, it didn't work out well, okay? Again, this is information that no other YouTuber is going to be sharing with you guys because this shit goes deep. And this is reality. Okay, so then what ended up happening, I thought to myself, I'm sending so much traffic, right? Spending money. And then there's friction right here. But at the same time, they're saying, well, no, if they fill out the lead form, that means they're really serious about possibly booking. But keep in mind, guys, my prices, of course, they are not the cheapest because if the prices are cheap, it's going to be difficult for me to pay photo booth attendants to take on those events. It's going to be difficult for me to scale my business. It's going to be difficult for me to attract that avatar that is not going to haggle me on prices. But I was struggling as a business owner because I was stuck at this phase where I had very little conversions. So then I started looking into my workflow more every single day, right? Because as a business owner, that's all we think about is our business. And I thought, what else can I change? Like, what the heck is going on? So I was looking more into the analytics, which we're going to jump in on other videos. In fact, I'm going to show you guys how to run Google ads. And it's crazy because what I'm about to show you is something that, like I said, no one's really doing, right? But I'm going to show you guys how to run Google ads, and I'm going to save you hundreds of dollars because I'm going to show you guys what my mentors didn't show me. I wish they would have showed me. That way, the pain would have been so great. But hey, you know what? I'm learning. And because I'm learning, baby, I'm here with you. So let's keep pushing. So right after that, what I ended up doing is, well, a lot of traffic was going to my website, but very little forms were being filled out. In fact, I want to say 10 to 15% of people visiting my website were actually filling out the form, right? And it was a very small percentage of people that I was actually closing when calling them. And let me tell you something right now. Calling people and them not picking up and then trying to convince them to book with you at your rates has to be the most uncomfortable, disgusting thing that I've done so far during this career. It's like telling them like, you know what, I don't really care about your budget, but you should book with me because X, Y, and Z. And I know this is something that you guys have never heard of, but this is what happens to people that really want to scale their business. They go through this learning curve. They go through this crazy experience. So then this is the tweaks that I started doing, right? Keep in mind, I'm spending around $54 a day trying to get as many leads as possible. Next thing I do is okay, I'm going to switch things up here because obviously I need to get new results, so I got to change things up. So what did I do? Okay, Google ads to the website being explored. There's no pricing on the website, so then very few people fill out the lead form and then they have to fill out. So this is when I started tweaking stuff around. And welcome to my world. Check this out. What I ended up doing was I went into my website and then I went against my mentor on this, right? And I told him, like, I'm going to add pricing to my website because I'm always putting myself in the client's shoes. Like, if I was browsing, how would I want to feel? What's the journey like? What's the experience as a prospect, as a potential customer? So what I ended up doing is I went into my website, and so then I added pricing, but the pricing that I added went something like this. Prices starting at, right? So I put a starting at price for each photo booth experience. So for a digital booth, I put starting at $490. For a classic booth, I put starting at $590. For a premium glam booth, starting at $690. So I put prices in there now so that when people would actually go into the website, they kind of gauge and get an idea, ballpark of what our services start at as far as the type of production they might be interested in. So they're not kind of in the dark anymore. And then what ended up happening then is, yes, I continued to get some more leads and it increased by a little bit. So I said, okay, there's more ways that I can tweak this. So what I ended up doing, ladies and gents, is that I went back into my contact form and I said, dude, when I'm browsing and I want to buy something, whether it's a product or some type of service I want to look into, and they're giving me a form to fill out like that, that's the biggest turnoff in the world, right? So what I ended up doing is this, guys. I removed the event date. I removed asking for their, so now I only have it. I removed this. I removed the location, right? Because I'm only advertising in my location. I removed the amount of people that are going to be there. I removed whether it's going to be indoors or outdoors. So all I left on the contact form, the new and improved contact form, is name, number, email. In fact, I said, you know what? Let me make this easier for them. So it got to a point where I said, you know what? I don't need their number, because they're not picking up the phone anyway when I call them. So what I did is I did name, and then I put the event date, and then I worded it email. So I put, what's a good email to send you our best offer? That's how I worded it. What is the best email to send you our best offer? So they just got to put their name, their event, and email, and hit submit. So basically, I minimize friction on the lead form. Guess what happened? Damn right. So more lead forms started getting filled out. More people started to go into triggering that honeybook phase. And then the people that I was contacting, more of them were answering the phone. And what ended up happening is I did something crazy that I don't think anyone's ever done before, because, well, at least I'm saying that because I don't really talk to people about the pricing much, because I don't care. And you shouldn't care either how much your competition is charging. It is what it is. It's their life. It's their business, right? So what I ended up doing was, say, for example, for if you guys, say someone books us at 2 hours, I have it at $590. And you're probably thinking, well, that's not very expensive, depending where you live in the USA, right? Or if you're watching from Canada or the UK, you know, $590. But what happens now, guys, is after the $590, I'm not like most photo booth companies that say, well, it's $100 every hour in addition to that, right? So no, for me, it's 2 hours, $590. And if they want to add another hour, the other hour is going to be a minimum of $200. Isn't this interesting? I'm going to tell you why I find this interesting. Because I figured if I have photo booth attendance and I can book a lot of bookings at a 2 hour rate, that means that I'm only compensating them for a certain amount of time. That means that I can get more bookings at 2 hours for $590 and keep my photo booth attendance busier, right? That means that I can knock down and actually take care of 2 clients much easier, because I still have a buffer to get to the secondary event if I need to dispatch someone to that location. And if someone wants me for 3 hours, then all of a sudden I'm making way more money, because I'm not only charging them an extra $100. No, I'm charging them a minimum an extra $200. So all of my bookings now are in a 2 hour range, which to me is beautiful, and it works out great because I get more bookings and I keep my photo booth attendants busier, okay? So that part right there is pretty amazing. So that's where I'm at now. And so this is actually finally working a lot better. There was some tweaking that I had to do. And I think your next question is, David, well, can you tell us a little bit more about Google Ads and how you're running them, and how much money are you spending now? What have you noticed? There's a ton of information I have to share with you, because Google Analytics, Google Business Pro, and Google Running Campaigns is all about capturing data. And so if you guys are coming into the space, I know that most people are out there telling you, like, it's a fun photo booth business, get into it, but I need you to come into this game ready to spend some money. I need you to come into the game with massive amounts of ambition and also enthusiasm, because times will get a little rough. But right now, guys, as you can see, I'm going to show you on my honeybook right here, the inquiries. As you guys can see, I'm getting a ton of inquiries now. And the beautiful part is that I'm no longer spending $54 a day on Google. I'm spending less money, but I'm getting more leads. Why? Because I went into nerd mode when it came to those Google campaigns. I went crazy, like spending countless hours learning more about Google campaigns. And so now I'm able to minimize my cost per click. Now I'm getting a higher CTR. What is that? CTR stands for click-through rate. So so many things have changed within my business, and this is the fresh information that I want to bring to you guys to let you know that the game is changing. And why? Because things weren't designed to remain the same. So I hope you guys found this very long video helpful, and I'm sure you guys have a ton of questions, and I might not be able to answer those questions. Why? Because I'm crazy busy doing this, and also revising it and optimizing it, and also training new staff, doing interviews once a week, hiring photo booth attendants that are going to be reliable, and also meeting with Mr. Professional owners who need a little bit of assistance, right? Some of them are brand new business owners. So there's a lot going on in my life. And so what I want to do is, I want to hear from you in the comments, not so much ask me a question, because I'm going to tell you right now, just being very blunt and honest with you, I'm not going to have time to answer everyone's question. You guys already know I stay busy, right? But what I will do is, when I take a glance into the description section, I can see what information you guys want the most. So that helps me build a conversation like the one we're having right now, so that I can help folks that are the ones that are really ready to spend and invest more in their business, who are a little bit more advanced, who've been in the game for a little over a year at least. All right. So my name is David Rodriguez. My life has become a lot more interesting and a lot more challenging, but that's what makes it interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care. Peace.